Those Who Serve is proudly presented with support from the law firm of Hiller Comerford. If you need disability benefits, it's Hiller time. AlphaStim, relieving anxiety, depression, and pain. Tony's Tree Service. And Old Editions Bookshop.
Hello, this is Terry McGuire, host of Those Who Serve. In this episode, we'll have part 2 of our interview with Frank Cius, who spent over 5.5 years in a North Vietnamese prison. We'll also have an interview with Mr. James Metcalf. He's the director of our Western New York National Cemetery in Pembroke, New York. James will be talking a little bit more about veteran benefits for not only our veterans, but their families in terms of interment at the cemetery.
We were flying into Laos, we're starting to take off, and we ran into a trap. I was shot down. They captured us, tied us up, and took us back to a camp that they had, a soldier camp.
And by the way, at this point in time, your family doesn't know that you're alive.
Nobody would know that.
Right.
At this point. I mean, it's still not even it's this, what is it, the 6th or 7th month of my captivity, and I was taken into the prison. Mm-hmm. And that's where they interrogated me again, and I got sick really bad the first night I was there. I couldn't control my bowels or anything, and I got medical attention for that by giving me a couple of pills that just seemed to stop the problem. But it weakened me, you know, and I was able to get back on my feet. So interrogation went on for about 6 months. It's just asking me the same questions over and over again. At that point, was moved to another prison. And I spent about 2 or 3 more months in solitary in this prison. But it was a community prison. I could see people moving. I had more activity after the 2.5 years I spent in the other one. And I was reassociated with Americans then. These people is where I learned the tap code, which is, you may have heard.
Right, you were explaining that a little bit earlier, this tap code. It wasn't like Morse code, but it was a special code that was very simple to learn. If it wasn't for that tap code, they'd have zero way to communicate with each other. So tell us a little about this tap code.
So when I joined these civilians, they were very leery of me as much as I was leery of them. And they would say, did you ever hear the tap code? And they're all with me together looking to watch my response. And I go, no, what are you talking about? So then the one says, I'll show you. They tapped, we have a new addition. His name is Frank. And the guy tapped back and he says, Marine Corps what, you know? Marine, tap on the wall, Marine. So then eventually I did meet up seeing these people. But at that point, that was held to a bare minimum. You know, it was only done at a certain time. So when they communicated my info, and then it would come back, welcome aboard, and that was it, you know, Frank. Everything was, make sure your name is said to you know what I mean? We were interrogated there, because again, one time, and it was more of a family thing, and saying, how do you like your people you finally put with? You know, I'm going, it's about time, I said to him, you know, I should be with other American fighting soldiers, POWs. I says, but I'll take this too, you know. So we were moved from this prison now. All of us, even the ones that tap coded through the wall. The whole prison was cleared out, and we went to one of the last ones. It's called the Rock Pile. And that was way out. All I know is in the mountains, and we could see our aircraft flying overhead, flying back and forth wherever the mission was, and they treated us like normal people there. We got better food. They brought us bottles of wine to have, and they celebrated Halloween with us. They brought us pumpkin pie because pumpkin is one of their main foods. So they made pumpkin pies for us for Halloween. That things are really changing over.
Give us an idea of your daily ration. What would it be like there in camp?
My solitary ration when I was first put in prison was basically a loaf of bread the size of a sub roll and soup and a couple pieces of pork or whatever they would throw in there to treat you. And that I ate twice a day like that. And then they actually changed the diet to what we called squash. And it was actually squash, and you would get a bigger portion of that.
How do you maintain that positive, the glass is half full versus half empty? Was there a decision you had to make there as a POW to say, I need to do this for my survival?
Well, how I took care of myself is we were called criminals. That was the bottom line, the title. We were, because our Air Force missions and everything was destroying their country, and they just called us criminals, air pirates and criminals.
Yeah. This was termed linebacker 1 and 2, which was the massive, like you described earlier, the B-52 Rolling Thunder kind of
exactly
bombing. So yeah,
exactly. And when I was held in Hanoi, the carpet bombing was a big thing there too. I mean, you didn't hear it coming.
Yeah.
Then it was unloaded, and then you knew which it was big red up in the sky. You know what I mean? So my life in the cell, I had nothing to do with, nothing to play with or nothing. Now I was wounded with a bullet in my shoulder. Mobility was getting bad on me. I started to do isometrics, which I learned in high school back in the 60s.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and that helped me out to get my mobility back. I did push-ups up against the wall.
Okay.
I would do jumping jacks, just flow my arms out for blood circulation.
Sure.
And get a heart rate going, something that I did intentionally rather than have something scare me to death.
Sure, sure.
So now I got my exercises in, regularly prayed, lunchtime I prayed, and I thought about home, and it started with my thinking in that manner about home. I know my dad had a heart condition, and I started thinking about this, and I never got taken over by emotion. And I says, I can't think about this, and I literally started crying. So I changed, I changed the way I prayed and thought about my family, because it was not a good thing that was happening, So I stopped, and I were able to get back on track. The cell is like an outside cell. All you have is an outdoor window with bars inside, chicken wire, the heavy-duty type that keeps you from trying to get out the big window. You feel all the weather, the temperature drops and the rain, you feel that. One of the things is that when they issue your gear for being a POW, it's a mat, bamboo mat. Wherever you sleep, always sleep on that. They give you a blanket, and you use your clothes for pillows. Also, a mosquito net. You have to put this mosquito net up. If you don't, they yell at you. So you can see there were holes in the wall, and everybody implemented how to hang the mosquito net to make it work. And one morning I woke up because I questioned this. I says, what the heck can happen? So one morning I woke up, and beetles, the big brown ones, the real big beetle bugs, and swarmed my whole cell and my net. They were everywhere.
Oh, wow.
But none could get in because they taught you how to tuck it underneath your bamboo mat. So when morning came and I woke up in the morning, I'm wondering why the guard didn't come and get us. He already saw the bugs in my room, and he signaled to me, stay put. And then they sprayed the room, and these critters left. But
Wow.
it was unbelievable.
Wow. unlike the movie Papillon when
Right.
Steve McQueen's grabbing the cockroach. So obviously those were probably a good protein source. They didn't want to let you have.
I have an and you're right. I think those were
Yeah.
those are the same type of bugs, man.
God.
But they were big.
When did you kind of learn that things were kind of up and that maybe there's chance of, going forward and getting home again? I mean, how did that shape? How did that take place?
Okay. Remember the rock pile?
Yes.
With the pumpkin pie and the wine?
The other location?
Yes, the last prison outside I was ever put in with all these other American civilians and so forth. We were picked up again and we went right back to Hanoi. And when we went back to Hanoi, we were entered into the community of all POWs. We were all saying, what's up? Maybe something's done. Maybe it's come to an end. That's what our talk was. And when we met up with the pilots and all the other guys that were in there, they do this to us all the time. Was the saying? He says, they tell us we're going home. The next day, they come in and says, it was my group of people in this particular building. It's the same buildings like all the other guys. We would go to this other room in this other building and find pants that fit us, socks, shoes, then we know something's up. We got all set up. He says they're going to be driven to the airport tomorrow. That's how quick things were unfolding on between the two governments, where they're going to set up and do all of this. They programmed us to get on this bus, and the buses all drove to the Hanoi airport. And we were told to get off and get in lines 2 by 2s by 2s. They told us, do not move till your name is called. And they don't say it perfectly, and so you figure if John and Joe were moving ahead of me, I'm next, right? Well, if you didn't understand it, I just stood. And then somebody would recognize me and point, and he says, I know, like, the Vietnamese are trying to figure out me.
Yes.
The one guard that was my everyday, he was there, and he says, that's him. So
Verification, yeah.
yes. And then there was a major from the United States Air Force. I'm getting close to him. He looks at me, and it's like a good feeling looking in his eyes and face, and he says to me, how you doing, son? I go, I'm good, sir. And it was a reward that gave me goosebumps and just perked me right up. And he saluted me, I saluted him, and he says to me, this gentleman here that's standing next to you, he's going to be your liaison. And he says, he'll be sticking to you like glue. I goes, okay, sir. And I says, thank you. And this guy automatically cups my arm, and we walk to the airplane.
Some things never change. When I deployed to Iraq in 2003, the Air Force was great. They were like your best buddy, best friend. The Army being the parent company, so to speak, and the Air Force being a derivative of the Army at the time, Army Air Corps. But anyway, they just treated us so well. So I'm glad to see certain traditions continue on. Just the way they treat people is just amazing.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly.
I mean, because it's impressive.
It is impressive.
And then anybody that needed help, they got, they took them aside and everything going.
You're coming back into the States. Did you land in San Francisco first?
No.
Or somewhere else?
The next landing for most of us were in Philippine Islands.
Okay.
We got not much debriefing, just to make sure we got the right guy and who you are, and everything follows you in a record then. And we got medical attention. They did x-rays on us because some of us were wounded, some of us had broken bones, and the tortures some guys went through. They had them.
Or bullets still lodged in their shoulder.
Oh yeah, exactly. So all these things, they took care of us. And if you needed medications or took medications at one time, but everything, they got you. Now they know how to help you or how they can. And the first thing they ask us when we get into our room is, what would you like to eat today for your first meal? Because he says, our chef is excellent here, so whatever you want, we have it. I says, and my attaché here, his name was Heinz.
Your liaison.
My liaison.
Yes.
That guy too. He was a good man. I liked him. And I said, I want a cheeseburger with French fries and a strawberry shake. That was my motivation in prison cell too. You know, that when I get home, that's where I'm headed. It was never a family feeling at that point, hugging. You know, and Mom is small, and I'm holding her so nobody hurts her, you know. And,
Right.
And I make sure I get Mom's intuition or something, perk me up, Mom, or something, you know. But that was a great feeling that Dad was there. That I was worried about his his heart all the time, but he was in good shape when he met us.
So we're in a very volatile world right now. We still fly a lot of missions throughout the world, whether you're in a Marine Corps helicopter, a CH-46, or whether you're in a high-speed, fast mover aircraft. For those that might get shot down in a certain situation or geography or territory hostile, what advice would you give them today?
Be calm, be collective, don't exaggerate the situation, give it a chance to unfold, and whatever you encounter through each encounter, answer to the best of your knowledge and your training. Our country always will bring us home no matter where we're at, and that works really good with me too. I knew there's a beginning to this war and there was going to be an end, and I will be back home someday, one way or the other, but our country always brings us home.
And with that, I'm going to say thank you for allowing us to interview today. And like Casey Bukowski
Sure.
from Depew and Lancaster, let's hope that you live to be 100 as well.
Thank you.
And beyond. So I think you're on your way. I think you're going to make it.
I hope so. Thank you.
I appreciate it. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Terry, for
Thanks, Frank.
thinking of me
God
all the
bless you.
time. Thank you, sir.
What better way to learn more about your hard-earned VA benefits than to be here at the National Cemeteries Administration's Western New York National Cemetery. And I'm here with Jim Metcalf, who's the director. Jim, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank
to be
you,
a
Terry.
part of the whole Memorial Day weekend. What can we learn more about the cemetery and eligibility and the things that happen once a loved one dies? How does that interaction happen between the funeral home and your staff here at the cemetery?
Well, since we're the smallest agency in the Department of Veteran Affairs, we've kind of made it easy by going to www.va.gov and scroll down and click on Burial and Memorials, and all of that information comes up, your eligibility, the benefits. We are a time of need service, so that means that we are probably the most efficient government agency out there because we can schedule a service within an hour of a phone call. The paperwork comes in, it is reviewed, it is taken care of. When the family shows up here, one of the representatives will meet the next of kin at the car, invite them into our family room, sit down, review that paperwork, and then proceed out, take the procession to a committal shelter. And we have a 20-minute committal service, and that will include here at Western New York National Cemetery a volunteer honor guard that provides a rifle volley and plays taps. 2 people from an active duty, whatever branch of military the veteran was from, will fold and present a U.S. flag to the next of kin. We provide a presidential memorial certificate signed by the President of the United States thanking them for their service to our country. A veteran is a veteran. We bury one right next to another.
Understood.
But we do have a pre-need that allows you at that time that you file it to let you know if you're eligible to be interred in a national cemetery.
And I understand you can bring family members as well.
Absolutely. That's a big question we're asked. That yes, your spouse is eligible to be interred in a national cemetery with any dependent child. We do have veterans that, you know, just like everyone else, that has adult dependent children, and you know, they are welcome to be here.
I understand we've been here since 2019 now already. I can't believe it's been close to 5 years. Tell us briefly a little bit about some of the expansion efforts that are going on here.
Well, we purchased the first piece of property, 132 acres in 2014, and then we purchased 2 more pieces of property after that, giving us a total of 265 acres. And we started construction in September of 2019, and we've gone through 3 phases. We're in phase 1C right now. It has been nonstop construction for 5 years to make sure that we can provide this burial benefit to all of the veterans in Western New York and anybody else that would like to be interred here, veterans from all over the United States. We have a lot that come back from Arizona or Florida. So, you know, the construction is just ongoing, but it's just beautiful what they've done. I mean, this is a national shrine, a war memorial to the men and women that have served our country, and we get nothing but compliments.
And I just want to say thank you on behalf of Western New York for putting together such a great program here in a great cemetery. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure as a hometown boy coming back to Western New York.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So,
God bless.
yes.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Those Who Serve, and we'll see you next time.
Those Who Serve is proudly presented with support from the law firm of Hiller Comerford. If you need disability benefits, it's Hiller time. AlphaStim, relieving anxiety, depression, and pain. Tony's Tree Service, and Old Editions Bookshop.